Also, I'm realizing I never introduced myself, so if we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Daniel Beer with the Beer Home Team at eXp Realty, and this is a real pleasure to be able to just share openly with you all. We have a star-packed panel here, so let's get them going. First up, you're going to meet Kurt Wannebo. Kurt Wannebo, first time I ever came across this guy was on television.
Are you frustrated with your upside-down home or investment property? Did you know you can get out of your property with little or no tax ramifications?
And I'm really excited to hear from him today because what did he do expertly the last time the market changed? He pivoted probably better than anybody, and he did something different with his business. And while all of us, or the industry, was suffering, he was all of a sudden doing hundreds of transactions. Kurt Wannebo's been named has actually been named the #1 agent by the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends over the years, and still very much on that list. $100 million producer last year, farming expert, absolutely. Kurt, we're lucky to have you here. Welcome. Mary Maloney. Mary Maloney is here. She's a military and farm specialist, and you're going to hear a theme woven throughout this entire discussion over the course of the afternoon, which is that just like Seth, so many of us here have chosen an area to play in and then play very hard in it. Just like Kurt has done in Carmel Valley with his farm, Mary is also a farm specialist and a military expert. She's former Navy, correct? Yes. She's former Navy, turned herself into a perennial top producing agent, $80 million in a year, in an average year for her. And we are very fortunate to have Mary here, who's sold over 1,000 homes over the course of her career and $500 million of real estate. Melissa Tucci, Coldwell Banker. This is going to be really a lot of fun because I've personally never had the opportunity to really get to know you, and I assume there's some people in the audience that are in the same boat, but here's what's crazy about her. You're talking about somebody that outproduces virtually any, 99% of teams out there, and it's her. She answers the phone, she gets on the text messages, the emails, the whole thing. You're talking about the #1 producing individual agent by size in San Diego County, and the only San Diego individual agent to make the list, the Real Trends Wall Street Journal list on a nationwide basis. She came in at number 97 across the country, all brands included. Melissa Tucci, also the official realtor of the San Diego Padres. So there's going to be a lot that we're able to discuss with you. Thank you so much. Kyle Whissel. Kyle Whissel is here. 374 homes sold last year and $205 million. So what that means is he's the first agent and that's, by the way, on his team. But that is the first team in the history of San Diego County to be ranked #1 for sides and #1 for volume, all in the same year. So we have Kyle Whissel here with us. Also being named one of the biggest video influencer by BombBomb, a great company. So we have a lot to learn. Let's jump into it, shall we? Cool. So here's where I want to go. I'd like to hear from each of you. Sometimes we'll point the question at somebody, but this I'd like to hear from every one of you, because in my experience, whenever I talk to agents that are producing at your caliber, what I've seen is there's that moment, okay? There's that moment in your career when something happens, something pivotal. It might be a mindset shift, it may be an opportunity you ran into. What was the pivotal moment in your career that put your business on the trajectory that it's now on? I see a head nod over here. Does that mean you already have it, Kyle?
You want me to go?
Anybody.
Okay.
I want somebody to go.
All right. So my background, I started out in the commercial real estate side of things when we sold a ton of houses to condo converters. That was great. Unfortunately, they shut condo conversions down here in San Diego, and I saw there was a shift happening. And so I made the shift over from selling apartment buildings over to residential. We did a lot of short sales, a lot of REOs. It was going fantastic. I got to the point where I needed to grow a team. And I was sitting around one day on a Black Friday, and computers were on sale from Dell. And I was like, F it, like I bought 10 computers. And it was like me and an assistant. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like now I got 10 computers, now I need to get an office space. So then I went out and I leased an office space of like 2,000 square feet. And I was like, all right, I got computers, I got an office space, now I need people. And I immediately just started recruiting. And I was hiring anybody and everybody to join our team. I was hiring people that were 18 all the way up to 118 from all different walks of life. And that first year, I lost over $100,000 running that team. We were spending more time teaching people how to log into their Gmail account because they couldn't remember their password than we were teaching them how to actually, follow up with all these internet leads and stuff that we were generating. And so I made a shift at that point to really take the time to understand who I was, what the culture of the team I wanted to build was, and really nailed down what that is, and then built the persona of the most likely agent to succeed within our culture. Much like when you're listing a property, you're building a persona of who the most likely buyer is for that property. You need to build that same persona of who's going to be the best fit within the culture of your company. And once we really nailed down what the culture of our company was and went out there and recruited the right people that fit within that culture, which for us, it's younger, it's tech savvy, and most importantly, humble and hungry. Those are the two most important qualities that I look for. The year that we made that shift, we went from 82 deals to 242 deals in a single year because we really nailed down the culture. We had the right people in the right seats on the bus, and that was a big game changer for us.
Kurt Wannebo, thank you, Kyle.
Frame the question again.
So what's that pivot? You asked to go.
Yeah, I know. I just want you.
Like
I want to respond in the right way.
So what's that pivotal moment? If you look back on your career,
Right.
There's a lot of things that have happened along the way.
Yep.
There's that moment, at least if I think back to mine, where there's that moment where everything kind of changed or something happened where you said, okay,
Yeah.
I'm now going to be a big boy. Like I'm going to be the TV guy.
Yeah. So for me, I started my career working for somebody else, very intentionally. My first 2 years, my goal and objective was to learn everything I could from them, knowing that I wanted to build what they had. So I studied and I worked my butt off. I learned everything I could, and I still to this day, I'm constantly learning. But what I realized, and when I went on my own, I learned and gained success very early on. Within 2 to 3 years of starting my own company, I was one of the top agents in the county. And looking back, what it was all revolved around was, one, my continuous wanting to learn from other people. I was exposed to coaching very early on in my career, so I had that. But the next thing was just doing what people told me to do, my coaches, my mentors, colleagues, people I studied in the business that I didn't even know. I just said, you know what, if I do those things, then hopefully I'll be successful as well. I didn't reinvent any wheel. Now to be clear, and as Seth says, you gotta take things and make it your own and be your own self. You're not trying to copy somebody else, but there are so many agents out there, Dan, you included, who I've become very close with in the past several months. You can learn from everybody, but the difference between a lot of successful people and those that are not are those that take it and implement it. I just, like I said, yes, I went on TV, but I was not the first agent that ever went on TV. I studied those agents that went on TV, and then I made it my own, and I just did it, and it revolved to success. So this industry is changing every day. The market changes, technology changes, and so I'm constantly studying and learning, not only from vendors that are out there, but other agents like yourself, and taking that and implementing it, and it just changes my business each and every day by doing that and having that mindset.
So you're asking yourself, what if you're wrong? All right?
Yeah.
Melissa, I see you raising your hand.
Okay.
So what's that thing that happened? Was there an event? Maybe there wasn't, by the way, but do you trace it back to an opportunity or something that occurred that put your business on a trajectory that's led you to here?
It wasn't just one thing, but the biggest thing that I remember was in about the end of 2005, beginning of 2006, when everyone didn't really know what Zillow was, and a lot of people weren't really a big fan of it. I became a Zillow test pilot and started rotating through all their zip codes on internet marketing. And I would say that year alone, it increased my business probably 50%. And then from there, I just started doing more and more internet marketing. And I'm a true believer of keeping up with internet. I mean, even from 2005 and 6, so much has changed from internet marketing and Zillow, but that really attributed a lot of my, success, getting up to the next level.
So that accelerated your lead flow.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can see, Mary, looking back?
Well, I don't know about any of you, but we were working very, very hard, and one day my partner said to me, you can't pay your taxes. And I don't know about you, but when you're busting your butt and working really hard and doing 50, 60 deals a year, and then you can't pay your taxes, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so we had to level up. And each time we've leveled up our business has been about surrounding ourselves with bigger thinkers. At that time for us, it was getting coaching and then really becoming business stewards on that P&L and understanding where our business came from, what we were spending on it, what was the ROI on each channel, and knowing where to spend our dollars. And so that was, each time it's been that leveling up of our inner circle and asking the bigger questions. And just in the last 6 months, being surrounded by you and Kyle and Kurt, we've leveled up again. And so each time it's just been the people.
So are we feeling, thank you, Mary, are we feeling commission pressures right now across the market? Right? I would say yes, a lot of heads being nodded. So why is that? Let's talk about commission pressures, because the promise here is you're going to walk out more able or unable to take that listing, combat the commission pressure, and be a better agent, implement. So we're going to go to the panel here in a moment. But let's also get clear on why the commission pressures exist. They exist because we are in a commoditized business. Our industry is becoming commoditized. And then you introduce all of the Wall Street money, the Silicon Valley money, all of the discounters, and there is extreme commission pressure on our industry right now. And one of the reasons why is that most people are not different, right? Most agents, enough of them that you could almost say all, sound the same, use the same lines, act the same. And so what really we have, if you've read Blue Ocean Strategy, is you have bloody red oceans of all of these agents, 1 million plus across the country, all doing and acting the same way. And then we wonder why the average agent in San Diego County will sell 3.7 homes a year, which if you do the math on that, by the time the broker gets paid and the dues get paid and a little bit of whatever it took to get that business is poverty level. And it's because we are all out here. So what we're going to turn to the panel for now is that when you're facing, and you've all done an extraordinary job of differentiating your businesses, and that's why this theme is so critical. When you're at that listing appointment and you're facing the what's your commission question, or will you drop it, will you discount it, etc., what are you doing to protect your income and your livelihood that they could do as well? Who has something that's really useful, that has been effective, they can take with them? How are you protecting your commissions? Kurt?
I'll say this from the get-go. Some of my team's here, and they know that I don't like to ever go on a listing appointment without me having vetted these people and talked to them for at least 20, 30 minutes on the phone. And so I go through this whole series of questions where I'm in essence interviewing them, okay? And part of those questions, and one of the questions I ask up front is, what are you willing or expecting to pay in commissions? Sounds pretty bold, doesn't it? But I want to know going in there, is this going to be a scenario where I am competing against somebody else that may be a particular discounter? Now, I find and feel personally that in the end, there are two types of people, those that just want discount and those that are willing to pay a fair, 5-6%. Seth mentioned it earlier again. I work with who I want to work with, so I have to make that determination. Do I even want to go on this appointment if they're interviewing a discount, and then me, because they've seen me somewhere?
Let me push back really quickly.
Yeah.
You did how many transactions last year?
Close to 100 and something.
So what if I'm sitting in the audience and I did 10 last year?
Right.
How do I walk away from that appointment? How do I walk away from that?
It's tough. It's again, it's who you want to work with and how you build your business. It's, if you work with one discount person and that's not the business you want to build, and don't get me wrong, it is a business model that you could pursue. But you take that client and you service them and you are great and you are wonderful and the deal closes, well, guess what? They're going to be telling everybody on their street how wonderful you are and what commissions you charge. You are building a business, in essence, as a discount agent, which is, again, fine. But if you set those parameters or you choose to work with certain people that aren't expecting or necessarily wanting that, then you're going to get referrals from people who say he's great and yes, he charges this, but he did this and he did this and he had the success rate. Now, let's say I'm in a position where they're considering paying full, okay, but they're exploring the discount. That's a differential of a multitude of factors.
Which
that
happens.
Which happens,
I'm
absolutely.
blown away when we're at an appointment and they're interviewing us and such and
The top three,
good
we all
agent B
charge
and
the
good
same,
agent C
and then
purple
one
bricks.
discount, right.
Like, that's weird.
Sometimes they just want to explore it. They want to see.
Yep.
That's a differentiate. You have to differentiate yourself. Now, I can go through a multitude of things that I could use as differentiating. My experience, my track record, past sales or experience where I've sold properties hundreds of thousands of dollars over list. Talking about sales to list price ratio, talking about everything that we do for marketing. There's a bunch of different things. So it just really comes down to, at that point, which one I'm going to tackle is going to be really what's important to the clients.
Who on the panel has, just from a real granular perspective, something somebody in the audience could literally jot down, take with them on a script basis? How is there a series of responses or any go-to just rebuttals or responses that have been effective for you? What do you have?
Well, I'll just talk about, we are indeed something that Dan does, where you got to have USPs. You got to have a reason why somebody should pay more money to you than they can go and get with the 1% shop. And so what is your USP? Like, think about, what do you do different than anybody else? Like, if you go out into an appointment, you're like, I do professional photography, I do open houses, I'm gonna put it on the internet. Like, Redfin does all that. You're not doing anything different. You do a Matterport tour, they do that too. So does Purple Bricks, believe it or not, for $3,600. So if you're just going in there and just like feature dumping, like this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do, you're not separating yourself from anybody else. Something that they did that's really unique is they built a process by which they launch a listing onto the market and actually trademarked that. Now think about that. When you go in and somebody's like, well, what separates you from the next guy? And you could say, I actually have a trademarked system that I utilize to launch my listings onto the MLS. And that trademarked system has generated these results, and you could show those results. Is there anybody else in this room other than Dan, and I have one filed now as well, is there anybody else in this room that has a trademark process? There's not, right? So think about, if you've got something that's so unique that nobody else has it, that's one of those things. We're talking about being different. That's one of the ways that you can differentiate yourself when you're there. The other thing that you can do is offer some sort of flexible commission plan to combat what those guys are doing, because if there's the possibility of them only paying, like if you're interviewing against a 1% shop and you have an option where they could only pay you 1%, now you can compete with them. What is that 1% option? That's if they bring you the buyer and you don't have to do a damn thing, and they bring you a buyer and all you got to do is paperwork. I'll do that for 1%. I mean, if all I got to do is manage an escrow, I'll do it for 1%. So if you could tell a seller, hey, you know what, I'll give you a 1% option, but here's how it works, and you make that available to them, that's sexy, that's attractive to them. So you're gonna go out and you're gonna market the hell out of it, and you're gonna charge your commission, whatever it is. I think there's probably some legality about saying what each of us charge, but you go in there with your full commission, whatever that is, 4, 5, 6, and then they're like, well, I'm talking to the 1% guy. Okay, here's what I charge, and here's everything that I'm gonna do for you, and here's what's unique about what I do. But I'm gonna give you a 1% option as well, and here's how it works. So when you can satisfy their 1% urge and craving that they have, knowing that 99% of the time that's not gonna happen, cool, and you're gonna get your full commission, that's another tactic that you can use, is you can dangle that 1% carrot out there, knowing that 99.9% of the time that's never gonna get gobbled up. So that's just another strategy that you guys can use.
Interesting Interesting question, right? Actually, not one I'd ever consciously ask myself, but why should they pay you more than a discounted commission? Kind of a very basic elementary question, but really, why should they? Is there an actual reason why they should, other than that you just believe that's what you're worth? Give them a reason, a concrete reason. Anyone else have thoughts on this topic before we move on from it?
Just one thing I would say is also, if you know your market and know your farm, and you know how many of the 1%ers listings are expiring, or how many of those 1%ers had to take price reductions in order to get those homes sold. Also looking up the reviews that are posted online and adding those, looking up the reviews of the agents and how their experience of working at Redfin. I also happen to have on my cell phone that I whip out for someone that is an actual text from the appointment setter at Redfin who says in her text, oh, our appointment setters don't have access to the MLS. Okay, Mr. Seller, if they don't have access to the MLS to set the appointments, how is your home going to be sold? So if you do some research about who your competition is, you can utilize that on top of your USP, on top of offering them a variable commission. But let's be honest, sometimes we do have to go to the mat with these people, but can you leverage that listing into something else, right? Can you leverage it to get more listings? Is it a listing where you have a high propensity to also find the buyer? Because that's our number one goal and the highest company dollar we have, right? Is to find the buyer to our listing. So if you have that, sometimes it's a business decision. Do you need a sign in a particular farm? Do you need a sign in the yard on a particular street? So, you know, the reality is sometimes we have to go to the mat, but just be prepared and have everything in your arsenal to know the numbers and be prepared when you're in front of that seller.
Real quick,
because we're going to move on.
one quick point. Would everyone agree that the market's a bit different right now? Okay.
Are you feeling that?
All right. This is the opportunity to absolutely know your difference between those discount agents, because I'm getting those calls. Their home didn't sell with the discount. They want to try something new. They want something more. You better be able to determine and explain to them exactly what you're going to give them and how you are different. This is the opportune time.
Yeah, you literally just gave me chills, because we are there. If you haven't been working on differentiating your business, this is it. You have, I don't know, my crystal ball is probably as good as yours, but you have a narrow amount of time to get that figured out, or what happened last time the market changed. Half this room wouldn't be here anymore. Literally. And it's the half that couldn't figure that question out. So that's, if you're working on your business, we hear that all the time, working in the business, you're on the business time, you have to answer that question. Or half this room will look completely different a year from now. Let's go to something that's ordinary, open house. We've all done them, everybody, probably first day on the job, open house. There's nothing particularly different about the concept, yet some of our panelists are making them different and getting absolutely disproportionate results from open house. Our team alone is on track to sell roughly 50 houses this year out of open house, something I used to consider a waste of time. So I know some of you are thriving with open houses. I'd love for somebody to jump in and describe how can an open house not just be an open house? Kyle, I know you nail this. Melissa, I'm not sure how much attention you place on them. Actually, you and I talked about this earlier. Huh?
We just hold her houses open.
Yes. So by the way,
That's funny.
agents looking for open houses, pay attention as well, because Melissa, as an individual agent selling 100 and God knows how many, 174 last year, well, she often needs agents to hold her homes open, and she allows any agent, not any, they have to do a great job, but you don't have to be affiliated with her, you don't have to be in her branch, etc. So that's going to be a relationship you want following this panel. Why don't we start with you, Kyle? I know you've differentiated your open houses, and Mary, you have about the craziest spaceship thing going on for yours, so we'll want to hear about that.
For sure. So the biggest mistake agents make when it comes to open houses is they pick an open house. They usually pick it on like Friday, and they set their open house up for Saturday at 1 o'clock. 12:30, they get in the car, drive over. On the way to the house, they throw 2 or 3 signs out on the corner and hope people show up. Well, nobody shows up, and you're like, oh, this is a waste of time. Or a couple neighbors show up, and you're like, oh, it's just a bunch of nosy neighbors. It was a huge waste of time. Well, the results that you get out of your open house are directly proportional to the results you put into your open house. And so if that's all you're doing is just deciding, all right, oh, Melissa's got a house open, I'm gonna go hold that one open tomorrow. And you just show up, three or 4 signs out, maybe you get 3 or 4 people, that's it. But if you really turn it into an event, it's a huge opportunity. So we look at launching a property like Hollywood looks at launching a movie. Like when the new Avengers comes out or the new Star Wars comes out, like Disney doesn't decide, oh, it's Friday, like let's just drop the movie today, right? There's a huge buildup to their movie releases, just like there's a huge buildup to your open house. And so for us, it's really a week-long process that goes into these open houses. So I'm gonna give you an exact list, right? Because I know when I sit in your guys' seat, I wanna walk away from something, just give me a step-by-step list of what to do. So I'm gonna give this to you and hopefully you write it down. We mail invitations on a Monday. And these invitations are 8.5 by 11, folded open. And I basically took a wedding invitation that I got, I sent it to my designer and said, make this for me, but make it real estate. So it looks like a wedding invitation. It's something very fancy, something that nobody else is really doing unless they've heard me talk about this. And it's something different. Like a lot of people here send postcards, that's cool. But how many people are actually sending a wedding invitation, right? We're here today talking about how to be different. This is a way to be different because when somebody gets that in the mail and they open that, like, wow, this is fancy, right? Like they've never gotten something like that before. Like instantly, you've already differentiated yourself from the competition. That goes out on Monday. Tuesday, we start running social media ads, Facebook and Instagram. We're 100% all in on those. So those start running on Wednesday. This is before the house has ever hit the market. So you can utilize some catchy phrases when you can promote an open house. It's not on the market yet. That starts going on Tuesday. And that we're very targeted, right? On Facebook, Instagram, you can put a pin on a map, draw a circle, a mile, 5 miles, 10 miles, however far around it you want, and run ads specifically to people within that radius. So social media ads start running on Tuesday. Listing drops on the MLS on Wednesday. As soon as it hits the MLS, it syndicates out to Redfin, Zillow, Realty, Trulia, all of those other websites. All of that happens on Wednesday. Thursday, we go around and door knock and or door drop flyers to everybody in the neighborhood. So now we're to Thursday. They've got something in the mail. They've seen it on social media. If they've been on any of the big portals out there, they've seen it, and they got something at the door. Now on Friday is when we circle prospect it. So we use Cole Realty resource, same thing. I can put a pin on a map, draw a circle a mile around it. But with this service, I can pull in all the names and phone numbers of everybody that lives in that area. And then at that point, we're going to call, text, and email every single person in the area. And the beauty is those calls can be kind of tough. But at this point, because of everything they've already gotten, they already know about it. It's not really a cold call. It's more of a warm call because you've already hit them 3 or 4 times with all the other pieces. So we call them. We use Mojo to make the actual calls. Then we utilize Agent Legend to text and email everybody in the neighborhood. So think about how much has actually happened to that point, right? That it's in their mailbox, it's on their social feed, it's on the portals, it's at their door, it's on their phone, it's in their email. You're literally everywhere. Then you finally do the open house. And this time of year in the summer, we do them on a Friday evening, try to do it right around happy hour, 4 to 7, 5 to 8, something like that. Who doesn't want to go have a drink after a long day of work or a long week of work? So we typically do one specific for the neighbors on Friday night. And when we do them, they're themed, based on the neighborhood, based on the demographic, based on the price point, we do different things. So we do stuff as simple as pizza and beer to having a sushi chef roll sushi on site and have sake. So think about your market. We've done tacos and margaritas. We've done donuts and mimosas. We've done a variety of different things. So that happens on Friday night. We get everybody in the neighborhood to come in there. Those of you guys that don't like nosy neighbors, just give them my cell phone number. I'll talk to them all day because you need to get in your head, those nosy neighbors are your future sellers. Neighbors equals sellers. I love having a house full. In my main farm that I work, my average open house has 100 people in it. That means that's usually couples, so there's 50 potential sellers in the house at one time. Like, that's so freaking powerful. That happens on Friday night. The public open house happens on Saturday afternoon. So what happens is all the neighbors come in Friday night, they see the house like, oh, this is beautiful. You know, my friend Billy's thinking about, you know, buying up here. Billy, you should come check out this house. They're gonna have it open tomorrow. We follow that up on Saturday. The key is the house, don't just go and open the door, have a couple MLS sheets on the counter, and you know, hope it's gonna be good. You gotta appeal to people's senses. You wanna make it different than everybody else out there. We just finished one of our open houses last weekend, and we were done with ours, went to the neighborhood one, and it was like a concert got let out. Like, we were like all hyped up, having a good time, and then we walked in this other house, like, woo, it was just draining. There was nothing happening. So I like Sonos speakers. If Sonos speakers don't fit your budget, get Bluetooth speakers. But I do one speaker downstairs, one speaker upstairs, one speaker outside. So there's music. The second somebody walks in the door, there's music playing. Completely changes the environment when they walk in the door, because now, like, oh, this is fun. There's never that awkward silence. There's always somebody working the door. Somebody is standing at the door greeting every single person that comes in, because it is a nice way to enter a home. There's far too many times somebody walks in your open house that you're doing all by yourself. They walk in like, is anybody here? Hello? Hello? Like, is that how you want the experience to start for somebody? No. Like, you want them to come, hey, welcome to the open house. How are you doing? I'm Kyle, right? So we have somebody specifically working the door. They hand them an iPad, get them to sign in. We use Spacio. Some of you guys use Open Home Pro. It's cool, but Spacio is kind of the new iteration of open house sign-in apps, because as soon as somebody signs in on that app, they automatically go into my CRM. I don't have to wait till the next day and then upload that into my CRM. So the fact it's automatically integrated is really important.
Just as a quick interruption, that suggests you have a CRM.
Yes.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't have a CRM, you do have one. Your broker's probably paying for it for you. You're just not using it. So what CRM should you use? It's one of the most common questions people get asked that do the numbers that we all do. It's the CRM you already have that you're not using. There's no perfect CRM.
One of the best, Commissions Inc. is in the back right now. Anyway, just want to highlight that. Here's the point. To him, that was such an elementary point of doing business that he didn't even think to pause there. That to him was just absolutely elementary. Please let that land if I'm speaking to you right now. So it lands in your CRM, then what does this Spacio thing do?
So the cool thing is now it's into the CRM, and there's already a preset campaign. So then a text is gonna go out to that person 2 hours after the open house, and it's, hey, thanks so much for coming by the open house. It was great to see you. Did you have any feedback I can relay to the seller? It's not, do you wanna buy or sell, right? I'm just trying to get a conversation started. So it's not, are you thinking about buying or selling? Like, you're turning people off. Get a conversation started. And they'll respond like, oh yeah, we liked it, but blah, blah, blah. Cool. And then you roll into conversation, right? This is your job, is to have conversations with people. You have conversations for dollars. So if you can't converse with people, get out of the business, please. All right, so they sign in, it goes into the CRM, and then we always have 2 agents working the open house. The person at the door knows when somebody comes in, they ask, do you live in the neighborhood? If yes, they're going to walk them over and introduce them to me. If no, they're gonna walk them over and introduce them to my buyer's agent that's working the open house with me. All I want is neighbors, and I can be super focused, and I know every comp in the neighborhood. I know it inside and out. I know what's for sale. I know who's got it listed. I know if there's been price changes. I know if it's occupied or vacant. I know everything about every property there. Or my buyer's agent knows everything else that's for sale. So in case that particular property is not a fit, they know what else is for sale in the area. And because there's 3 of us, if needed, they could actually run out of the open house and go show a property really quick. So you want to know what other properties in the area are vacant. Just in case you got somebody who's a really good lead, you could jump in the car and go show it, because there's still 2 people left at the open house. They come in the open house, there's food, there's music, there's alcohol. Alcohol is great, people stay longer, they talk more, and it becomes fun, where it kind of becomes like an event in the neighborhood where people, they actually look forward to coming to these just so they can see their neighbors. It becomes like a neighborhood hangout. And it's gotten to the point now that we get so many people at these that I have to kick people out of the house when 7 o'clock rolls around, and then everybody's figuring out, like, where's the after party? Like, where are we going next? Like, holy shit, there's an after party for my open house. Like, how cool is that? And so then I go to the after party, right? And then I get to go hang out, and then the relationship changes at that point too, because now I'm going to somebody else's house, we're having beers, smoking cigars, whatever the case may be, and now I get to connect on a personal level. It's amazing what happens with that. Last thing I'll leave you guys with is every single one of you, well, I'm gonna say every single one, 99% of you guys are following up with your open house leads on Monday. We already got to them on Sunday. If you're waiting till Monday to follow up with your open house leads, you're just like everybody else. Follow up on Sunday if you want to be different.
So let me summarize that. You're saying, are you saying
I just gave you like our
don't-
whole business model. Just copy it.
You don't just do 3 or 4 signs? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, signs, anywhere from 50 to 100 signs.
Okay.
So the main neighborhood I work, the primary intersection has 30 signs at it, at one intersection.
So he's created a focus out of that. You're going to hear a lot of different opportunities for you to build your business over the course of the afternoon. It could be that. Could be something different. But whatever it's going to be, did he go all in on it? In my team, we used to sell 0 to 0 houses from open house every year. By the way, statistically, 4% of sales come from open house. 4. Yet, well, by the way, that's why most of us get annoyed by them. Yet, we're on track to do over 50 or hit right about 50 this year. I don't know what your number is, but it's going to be a big number.
It's 51 if yours is
51. Mine's 50, it's 51, he said. So he's all in on that. Mary, you have the most unique open house contraption of any kind I've ever heard or seen anywhere. I still need to go visit to see it in person.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What is this thing I'm alluding to that differentiates you at an open house?
Well, I wish I had a picture of it, but we converted a vintage 1974 Airstream trailer into a mobile office. And it's logoed, it's wrapped, and so we do Airstream parties at our open houses or as Meet Your Neighbor. But we gutted this Airstream, and it has a table and couches and beer fridges and kegerators and all kinds of stuff in it. But our agents can literally sit on their laptops and write offers on site. But just remember to be different. That gets a lot of attention, and people are like, oh yeah, I saw your Airstream in the town center, or oh yeah, I saw your Airstream parked, in front of this house. But to be different, there are 2 opportunities in the sales cycle when you have more information than the consumer, and more information than they can get in big data. And that's when your property is coming soon, and that's when your property enters escrow. So really think about your sales cycle and how you are communicating during those 2 opportunities. We also, on top of what Kyle is doing, we also leverage our CRM database when we have a property coming soon, inviting the 3,000 people if it's a fit for them, and leveraging that database. Also, we incorporated Sly Broadcast to drop our, hey, this is Mary from Hometown Realty. Don't know if you saw, we listed your neighbor's house at 123 Banana Street. We're having an open house this weekend. We'd love for you to come and take a look. Let us know what you think of the pricing. 21% of homes sell by word of mouth, so we would love for you to help us spread the word and pick your next neighbor.
Awesome.
So
when you do all that, you're nailing your open houses. Shared with us how open houses can actually be a listing tool. We have more listings. Want to go to one of the simplest, yet for me at least, was an eye-opening moment. Brought it, my team's sitting over here off to your right in the front corner. Immediately, you guys will resonate with this because I immediately brought this to the team. Kurt, you have all these listings now. How do we keep them? Isn't the number one reason that our clients become upset with us or shift to a different agent, it's not even because the home didn't sell, it's because of our communication. And everybody in the audience seems to have raised their hand when we asked, are you feeling a different market right now? Are we having to ask for more price reductions? Is the environment changing? What you shared with me during one of our happy hours, literally, I just think that is one of the most impactful things that is absolutely something everybody can implement right now in terms of your follow-up with your listings and how they end up asking you for the price reduction.
Right. You want me to go through that?
Please.
Okay, so we're in September. as my team knows, this is the time of the year or the last quarter when we get expireds. It's expired season, year after year after year, and this year I feel is going to be bigger than any other because the market softened, it's changed. And after Labor Day, I had 3 listings that called me during Labor Day, but I didn't call them back till Tuesday, saying, we've been on the market, we haven't sold. Now, I go on these, what I call rescue listings, expired listings, all the time. So I'll save you the time and the trouble. I always ask them, why, I ask them a series of questions. How many offers did you receive? None. Maybe 1, whatever. How many showings did you have? I don't know. Maybe 15, maybe 20, maybe 30. Great. You had 20 people through. What was their feedback? One person said they loved the house. One person said they loved our pool. One person said they loved our... Okay. Bottom line here is that these people didn't get a lot of feedback, a lot of communication from their agent. Next thing I'll ask, why are you making a change? And what's the number 1 complaint you have about your previous agent? Save you the time again. I've been on 100 of these appointments. It's always the same thing. I hired my agent, didn't sell after 30 days, never heard from them again. Now, you might think, okay, this would be a no-name agent or maybe not a very good agent. I recently took over a multi-million-dollar listing from a very, very well-known, prominent, high-end agent. In fact, they had one of the highest priced listings in this county a few months ago, and they said the same thing. I hired her. I never heard from her for 3 months. Then her assistant called me, and I wanted to get out of the contract. I couldn't. Never heard from her again for several more months. It expired. They hired me. Okay. Now, this part of our conversation, Dan, was this. I always felt that we don't ever want to put ourselves in that position. We don't ever want to have somebody fire us and hire somebody else and tell us the same thing. We never heard from Kurt. We never heard from his team. So we put systems in place where we are sending them, in essence, a report every single Friday. Now, this isn't just some of it is a download here and send it to you, but it is with a full explanation of what this information is. So we send them a report letting them know every showing that we had and what every single buyer's feedback was about the property, and not the feedback that they loved your house, they thought this was great. These are questions we ask buyers that come through. What did you not like about the house? Why aren't you moving forward? Why are you not submitting an offer? If you were to buy this house, what would you pay for it? Is there anything you would change about the house? Is there anything that just turns you off? We're not asking the good stuff. We're asking the bad stuff because we want our sellers to know that, because it's our job as real estate agents to be able to convey the reason it's not selling and give that to our clients and say, hey, look, we've had a lot of feedback that they're not crazy about your maroon paint in your living room. I've seen this feedback enough now. We need to change this. So we're providing all. Now it takes our time and it takes a lot of work to get this feedback from these buyers that come through, and getting a hold of agents is not the easiest job in the world, especially if they're not interested in your listing, but we track them down. So we provide this feedback to our clients every single week. The second thing we do is we're sending them a market report. Now we're not just downloading a CMA and saying, here you go. We are interpreting this for them. It starts day one. Day one, here you are on the market. Here are your 6 competitors that you are competing with right now, okay? Here's 3 that are in escrow, and here's the couple that have sold in the past 60 days. Every week, we let them know, one of your competitors went into escrow, and they did so after this price adjustment. And this one's different from yours because it has this and that, and this is gonna impact your value this way. This one that just went into escrow, remember I told you about 2 weeks ago? That one just 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, it just closed. And it closed at this price. And that means to you this. So that they're constantly aware of what their competition is, what's going on in the market, and we're telling them, we're giving them the data. I'm not calling them up after 30 days of non-communication and saying, hey, it's me, it's time to reduce the price. Okay? Sometimes the conversation is after 2 weeks saying, hey, it's me. Guess what? Remember that green carpet I told you about? We have 9 clients or 9 buyers who've come through and said it's going to change. We should pull it. Let's change the green carpet. Okay? Now we do this every week. And trust me, I have those listings that have sat for months and months, but my team members know here, especially my listing partners, we do have times where our clients say, reduce the price 50 grand. They call me to tell me that. I'm not telling them that after I give them a report. And yes, at times I give them suggestions, other times I just give them the data, especially the smart ones who are really into this. It's interesting too, I send these reports sometimes week after week and my clients won't even respond. They don't say nothing, but then they call me up and say, I read your reports every week. Thank you so much. You've been so communicative, especially those expired listings. You should read the review that I got from that multi-million-dollar client who was like, I went down this path. I hired this high-end agent. Never heard from her. Kurt came in, heard from him every week. I made every change that I kept seeing as a pattern. I made my, she didn't say this, but we made price adjustments based on what I was seeing, and we sold it in 90 days. Where she'd been on the market for 9 months, no offers with this high-end agent. So communication is so important. It's the number one reason many times people say, I got rid of this agent. I'll come in and I'll say, what do you think about the price? Sometimes they're like, I think the price should have been reduced, but my agent never even called me to have that discussion. And I'm like, so that's something we do on every listing, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Well, the idea that his clients are calling him for the price reduction is just, to me, something that will change our business moving forward, because that's something we've already begun to implement. So thank you for that. I just think that's extremely powerful. And how many listings do you have right now?
Active, we only really ever have 5, 10, at 12, and most of them go in escrow. So.
Okay. So he's carrying 5, 10, 12 at any one time. Does that mean pretty much every one of us can implement that strategy? On Mondays, we can run a fresh CMA, put some color on it, analyze it, and get it to your clients, and then get them a showing report, an activity report on Fridays. That is simple.
And the key is not just,
powerful.
Here's a list of 10 people who have been through your homes. Here's a CMA. You got to explain it to them. You got to, let them know you're monitoring the market, that you're gathering this data, that you're making suggestions, let them know what you're seeing.
And dig in. How many times do we hear, oh, it's a great house, it's just, they're not interested. What the heck does that mean? That is the most frustrating thing for your seller to hear. Oh, they thought it was lovely, no offer. And most of us, what do we do? Okay, well, thank you so much. Dig in. What about it? What's preventing them? What would need to change? Here's the other thing I picked up from that. He will tell his client, here's the feedback on the maroon paint, and we need to make a change. Why is it that as an industry, we are afraid to face our clients and deliver the unfiltered truth on something as simple as here's the market feedback and here's the change that needs to be made? In a respectful manner, of course, but why do we hesitate and dance around it? Well, and we could do another week and maybe, I don't know, sure. Why do we do that? Why can doctors march out of the operating room, face a parent, and deliver devastating news straight? And we can't talk about changing the maroon paint without dancing. That's the change that needs to be made if we're going to differentiate ourselves and stand out and survive the market shift. Because here's what's up. The cousin deals and the part-time deals, all that stuff, that's going away, and the market will gravitate toward the professionals when the going gets tough. And that couldn't be any more simple. If doctors can do that, certainly we can do this. Melissa, you are a much lighter tone.
Look who I'm surrounded by. It's tough to get a word in. I'm just kidding.
You are the official agent of the San Diego Padres, which is very cool, by the way, because in a moment, our next speaker, flying in all the way from Detroit, Jeff Glover, number, I believe, if I have this right, and if not, Jeff, you'll correct me, number 22 agent by sides in the nation across all brands, official realtor of the Detroit Tigers. So it'll be cool for you guys to get together and see how you're using that. So I'd love to understand why did you do it? It's a big investment. You don't have to say what, but it's a big one. And how are you leveraging that? All of us listening, because we can't go become the official realtor of the Padres. She already is. I tried. I did. Let's figure out how we can take her creativity around that, how she's applying it and apply it to something else. Because this, I guarantee you, all she's doing is paying for the sponsorship to become the official Padre, the official realtor of the Padres, and then letting it be. That's not turning into anything. It's about what she's doing with it. What are you doing with that?
So I'm a big baseball fan as well, and so one of my kids is on softball, and what a nice feature that I have with the Padres is they let me have a player appearance a couple times a year. So I actually get together with the whole softball league, have the player appearance, I have a camera crew, and we go and do lessons with the kids. And then basically give back to the community, invite other people, and then turn that into a whole nonprofit type of an organization. So that's just an example. I'm able to bring clients I have monthly suites to entertain them, as well as give them season tickets. With the Padres affiliation, a lot of people always ask, well, how did you get that? It was about 5.5 years ago, and they were wanting to have different sponsors. So usually it was just like Saquon Casino or the official, beer of the Padres. Now they're having the official movers, they're having the official yogurt company. And so they interviewed a series of different real estate professionals based on their production. And, I had to meet with the CEO and come up with a marketing plan, because you have to be of a certain, they want you to be a certain way in order to be representing the Padres in general. So on all of my listing presentations, that's another feature that no one else could say. They actually let me advertise to all the season ticket holders, as well as all of their marketing partnerships. And I could even do an e-blast to all of them. And that, of course, is something no one else could do. So I really try to utilize that, and I put my logo on my business cards, on my flyers, just because that, when you look at it, people see, well, my house isn't $4 million, I'm sorry, I'm like, no, I help everyone, a $200,000 condo, a $5 million house. But it's been just a real honor to be affiliated with them, just because it is, brings you to a different level, and people trust you because the Padres trust me, therefore they feel a sense of trust.
So this idea of trust, it's a very impressive third-party endorsement. Mm-hmm. And that's what reviews can be for many of us. I'm a big believer, take a look at any materials you have, any printed materials, presentations, booklets, whatever it is you might have in your business. Big believer, there cannot be enough testimonials on them. You can't do it. You try to overdo it, you won't be able to. So in the world of reviews, online reviews, that is one of the areas that can actually become a consistent source of business if we're differentiated. Who's winning big with reviews here? I know you are, Kyle. Do you focus on any platform, Melissa?
I do. I have almost 250 reviews on Zillow.
Okay, that doesn't happen by accident, even if you have world-class service. So how have you purposefully done that?
After every transaction, I'll email clients and call them and just say, if you don't mind sending a review at your convenience, and I'll send them the link. And I mean, some of these people, they should write a novel. I mean, it's amazing what just asking and, when people have a good experience, to write a review. And then some people will just say, no, I'm not internet savvy, and it's not for everyone. But I think having reviews is the #1 sense of getting referrals, because people look online to find their agent, and then they see the reviews and they'll call up and say, are these reviews real? And I'm like, absolutely, they're past clients, and if they want to talk with them directly, I'm able to arrange that too. But reviews are 100%, I think, a necessity in this business.
I used to tell my dad back years ago, the internet was a lot newer back then, and he had a business. I would say to him, Dad, things have changed now. If you don't have a website, I mean, now obviously we all have a website. But back then it was, if you don't have a website, you don't exist. Well, today, if you don't have reviews, you don't exist. Reviews are critical. You exist to your friends, you exist to your family, you exist to those in your direct circle of influence. If you have intentions of expanding out from there, or you think you may have those intentions in the future, make sure your friends in your circle of influence start giving you reviews today so you can get reviews from strangers tomorrow. Back, it used to be no website, you don't exist. Today, no reviews, you don't exist. What's the most effective moment in the course of a transaction to actually get that review? I know most of us tend to do it at the closing. Kyle, you have a different philosophy.
Yeah, if you've moved recently, you know what your mental state is when you're moving, and it's not good. You're frazzled, you don't know where anything is, you're a hot mess. Like, asking somebody for the review while they're in the middle of that is probably the worst thing that you can do. So just like closing, just like when you should ask for referrals, it should be early and often, not just after a transaction closes. Because most people, the transaction closes, they ask for a review like the next day. It's part of their campaign, hopefully in their CRM, because you guys are all gonna have CRMs after this. And they ask for a review as soon as it closes. And then that's it. So for us, we're hitting them at 4 different points in the transaction. The happiest point of the transaction in 99% of transactions is offer acceptance. Everybody's happy at that point. The seller's happy because, hey, this is a price we're comfortable with. Buyer's happy, yeah, we got the house. And nobody has screwed the transaction up yet, right? Everybody's working with all of our amazing sponsors in the back, great escrow, great lenders, all that, great inspection companies. Everybody's working with all these amazing companies, so none of them will ever screw stuff up. But everybody screws stuff up, right? The appraisal comes in low. The house is screwed up, and then, you know, the inspection, and it's got a cracked slab and they bail on it. There's so many things that can happen during the transaction that screw it up that aren't your fault, and you never end up getting a review as a result of it. So start asking at acceptance. As soon as they're accepted, they're stoked. There's nothing too crazy happening yet. So start asking at the initial acceptance. Hit them again at contingency removal, because that's another exciting point in the transaction. Hit them after it closes, but wait a week after it closes. Like, let them get a little bit settled in. That one's actually been our #1 spot. We've tracked when the reviews come in. Hitting them 7 days after close has been really good, and we hit them again 30 days after close. So we're hitting them 4 different times throughout the process, as opposed to just one time as soon as it closes. So hit them with the 2 happy points during the transaction, and then give them a little time to get settled and hit them again after it closes. The thing that we're really big on is doing it via video. Video's our thing. So I'm always doing it via video. So I have videos that are pre-recorded and just says, hey, congratulations, your offer is accepted. We're super excited for you. If you have a quick minute, we'd love for you to share your experience working with us. There's gonna be a link down below. Go ahead and click that and share that. Something that's important is to spread your reviews across different sites as well. Like, she's got 200 and something reviews. Do you think a client cares if she's got 235 versus 236? Probably not, right? So it's good to spread your reviews. So we've started putting a lot of attention on Yelp lately. Literally, when I was in the back of the room, I got a Yelp call, and the guy's like, hey, who do I talk to about listing my house? Like, do you guys want those phone calls? Because if you don't, I'll take them all. But those are the best phone calls, especially because they've already researched you, right? Like, do you think I'm going to have to deal with commission pressure on somebody who's done their research and decide, like, this is the guy I want to work with? So those reviews are so important, because most of the time, if I get a call from Yelp, it's either somebody trying to sell me shit, or it's a lay down client, because they've already done their research and they want to work with us. So those reviews are super important. Spread those. Yelp, Zillow, Google, Facebook. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I recommend go really hard on one, build that profile up, then move your attention to the next, attention to the next, and attention to the next.
Mary, you've differentiated your business as a military expert. And I'd love to hear about that. What's that done for your business? And I really do believe we can all do a lot of things, but there has to be at least one thing where you are the best in the world. And let's talk about your military business and your efforts to grow this across the country.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we've all agreed that the market is shifting, and I think we can all agree that the consumer is shifting. How many people in here do a geographical farm? Yep. Anyone doing a categorical farm? Awesome. 1, 2, 3. How about a demographical farm? So a couple. So if you have something that you're really passionate about, I love that Seth talked about passion. If you have something that you're really passionate about, or there's a market that you really love to serve, I think more and more with social media, we're going to see agents really go a lot deeper in categorical or demographical farms. And what I mean by that, so serving the military is a categorical farm that is spread out across many geographical areas of San Diego. So whether you want to work with first-time home buyers, last-time home buyers, those are all great categories. If you want to work with millennials, baby boomers, and work a demographical, the power of social media and being able to go into the back end of Facebook and Instagram and really be able to target a specific niche at such a low price point right now, you have the opportunity to go so deep in a categorical or a demographical niche that more and more consumers are going to be looking for things like homes near dog parks. If you have a dog and you love dogs, go after dog owners and know all of the statistics in the neighborhoods where there are dog parks. And you can hit dog owners, pet owners in Facebook and go really deep in that niche and develop content around that niche. And so as the internet brought geographical farms and big data and people being able to look at houses in specific areas, I think now if we can become the face of a particular niche, you have an ability at a very attractive price point and ROI to go very, very deep in a specific niche. And there are lots of them.
Facebook knows I have a dog, huh?
Yeah. Huh. Facebook knows you're moving.
So, thank you, Mary. And what you're doing with the military is just awesome. You are genuinely helping veterans build their real estate businesses across the country.
Yeah, and it's something we're really passionate about. Having been in the military, I'm also a military spouse. So it's something that we're really passionate about and a very underserved part of our business here in San Diego. In the last year, has anyone done a VA transaction? Look around. That's a lot of transactions going on in San Diego County. Right now, we're actually working on something around a military housing coalition, if you will, to bring together some of the bigger military agent real estate thinkers in San Diego. And this is what you'll find. Once you start really digging into a niche, you can find that there are other people that have the same passion as you, and then you can really strive to make a difference in a particular niche.
Shifting gears, Kurt Wannebo. Whoever saw his commercials of him upside down looking goofy as hell on television, talking about short
Nobody
sales?
saw him.
No? Oh, you're pretty fortunate.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
So,
I saw Short Sale Kurt.
Short Sale Kurt, that was,
Yeah.
I thought that was your first name,
Yep.
your middle name. So, with what's coming, you did an expert job of differentiating yourself in that last market. I'm curious from you, how are you preparing for the next change? What advice do you have that people could implement so that they can take advantage, thrive, and grow in that market versus be afraid of it? Because here's the secret, and I don't know if it's kosher or not kosher to say it from stage or not, but most of your heavy hitter agents out there are so excited for it. They are very excited for the shift, not because of the pain the consumers will feel. And we had friends, we had family that felt it. So we're very sensitive to that, but from a pure business standpoint, from a market share standpoint, we are giddy. How are you preparing for this?
So I don't think it's going to be a big crash right now, but it's the little things that we talked about before. The market's shifting, right? Which means people are going to become expiring. Those who have tried to sell are going to fail, and they're going to look for other opportunities and other agents. So I want to be very well positioned to be able to identify those expireds, know what my value proposition is to them. I want to be very well rehearsed in regards to having those difficult conversations with people in regards to making price adjustments. I want to be very well rehearsed when it comes to being able to convey to clients what's actually going on in the market, and if it's softening and going down, that I have that conversation and convey that they need to be ahead of the curve and beat the market. It is not, it's surprising. I still go on an appointment. Well, the expired call I got this weekend was, I listed with my friend because I thought the market was so hot, it wasn't gonna be easy to, it was gonna be super easy to sell, and no marketing was needed. And why did you think the market was so hot? Well, that's what my friend told me. You know, every house sells in 2 days. Some agents don't even realize that the market's shifting. So it's just a matter of positioning yourself and being prepared to be able to have those conversations. If you are not comfortable talking about price adjustments, you better get good at it now.
But there must be something you did to have the foresight to move your business where it went. I hope I'm not giving away personal information of yours, but I'm going to share this, and get mad at me later if you want. We're having a drink outside just before this started.
Right.
How old are you today?
43.
43.
Baby.
So, at the age of 30, you were sharing with me, you had a relationship, it didn't work out. I asked if there were huge ramifications. You said, well, I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have anything. And the market shift last I checked, when everything was when our market was devastated, was 2008-ish,
Yeah.
10 years ago. So theoretically, you were 33 years old and not far removed from not having anything. How many listings did you end up with by looking out into the market and moving your business in the right direction?
You mean in short sale terms?
In the short sale world.
At the height of it, we did about 357 short sales across the state.
350 something short sales in a year. He had very little, or had whatever it was. So what he did, we can all do. Every one of us. So here's what we need, because the next change will be different. The next opportunity, there will be something unique. It won't be identical to the last. But what are you studying? What did you study? What should people be looking at to find what you found?
It was very simple. I worked for another broker for 2 years. Then I was going to go on my own. And at that point, I had to make a decision that I needed to do something just specialized. There's 23,000 agents in the business. And so I said, I got to be different. I got to have a specialization, a niche, a something that makes me different from all those 23,000 agents. And at that time, I had come across 1 or 2 or 3 short sales while working with this other person. And I said, you know what? Nobody's doing that. Nobody's marketing that. Nobody's a specialist in that. I didn't know how bad the market was going to get, right? I couldn't have anticipated that. But my single choice was, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to make it a niche. And lo and behold, the market did go in that direction. And so I became the specialist. I was doing them years before. In fact, most of my first transactions, or a lot of my transactions, were other real estate agents saying, Kurt, I don't want to do this short sale. I only do traditional. Will you take care of it for me? And then, 5 years later, everyone wanted to do short sales because it was 35% of the market share. But that was it. It all started with, I want to do what not all of the other 23,000 agents are doing.
Can you ask yourself that question over and over? I'm going to give you my formula for differentiation. Starts right here. What are they doing? Look around the room, because that's the they. What are they doing? What are they saying? How are they treating the client? How are they showing property? How are they listing homes? Whatever aspect of your business you need to innovate, ask yourself, what are they doing? And from the consumer's perspective, what are they experiencing? What's the experience that they are going through? Because it's all vastly much the same. Once you've gone through that exercise and literally whiteboarded this, you will notice that there are natural pain points associated to what they all do and what they all experience. You brainstorm and get all of those pain points on a whiteboard. That's when you differentiate yourself. See, the conversation with a client is, here's what they all do and what most, what all buyers experience, what sellers experience, whatever it is. And here's the pain point. Here's the pain that causes. And because of that, we've engineered this, your unique process. Back then, he realized that he could actually alleviate the pain point of home sellers underwater having to talk to agents that didn't understand the short sale process. And he could give them an expert journey through that. What are they doing? There are absolutely pain points around what our industry commonly does, and then how are you going to approach it differently to solve that pain? You can identify the first 2 steps. The third is somewhat natural. Apply that to any aspect of your business. You'll start to find your own unique voice, your own unique niche, your own unique space in this industry.
One opportunity I'd like to just throw out.
Please.
Our team is focused right now on looking and analyzing the premium market in our area that we work in North County. And if you look at your premium market, whatever that is, our premium market is on sale. And so we are targeting through marketing, through mail, social media, and other ways, the $700,000 to $900,000 homeowner that doesn't realize that their dream home is now on sale. So we're seeing $100,000 price reductions at 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, but the consumer doesn't realize that there's high demand for their home still in the mid-market, and that now their dream home is on sale. And is this the time to go and buy that dream home while interest rates are still historically low? Because what happens if interest rates go up and we see continued price appreciation just at a slower rate? So what is that premium market in your area of San Diego? And is there an opportunity? We know 64% of current listings have taken at least one price reduction in the last 30 days. So when you can communicate and show someone the buying power that they currently have to buy their dream home and get that pool, get that ocean view, get that cul-de-sac, have the multi-generational space for the mom to come live with them. That's a very powerful thing, and you take on the advisory role for that client. But I think in any market, we always have to identify the opportunity, and that's a huge opportunity for us.
We're going to end, get your notepads back out, with Kyle, your personal question. Everyone else got one. Let's go to client events. Different aspects we could all grow our business through. Some of us are laser focused on our SOI, our past clients. Give us an effective client event that doesn't require 20 grand or anything, right? Like that most of us can execute on, that you can directly correlate to business and referrals.
Yeah, our next one, we do 4 a year. We do an Easter egg hunt in the spring. We do a barbecue in the summer. Our next one coming up is our movie night. And then we do a holiday party with Santa in the winter time. So the one we have coming up is probably one of our least expensive. We do a movie night, but we do it at a park. So Dan did a beautiful one at a movie theater, rented out 2 theaters, had all these actors, everything came in. It was gorgeous, but that's expensive. That doesn't fit a lot of our budgets. But the cost to rent an inflatable movie screen and a projector to come out there, you're talking hundreds of dollars as opposed to thousands of dollars. Now, hopefully, you guys are willing to invest a few $100s into connecting with your database, your past clients, your sphere, your farm. So we just do a movie night. We rent out a park. Costs like $25, $35 for a permit for the park. There's tons of companies that'll come out. They'll bring the screen, the projector. They'll throw the movie in. They bring the speakers, everything. We pick up a few bags of popcorn from Costco, and people just come out. And it's a beautiful thing because it's very inexpensive. And I personally like doing it at a park versus in a movie theater because everybody comes out, sits out on their blankets, sits out on their chairs, hangs out. And the beautiful thing is I can pop around from group to group, even in the middle of the movie, and have conversations. Because let's be honest, like, we're playing Coco. I've seen Coco 46 times in the last year. I don't really care to see Coco a 47th time. So I can go and have conversations with the parents while the kids are super locked into Coco for the 450th time. The parents don't care about the movie, so they're totally comfortable having a conversation with me. You know, we always have some refreshments out there, so I can sit, have a beer with one of the guys while their kids watching the movie and have conversations. How's everything going? How's life? You know, Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. I can engage in those conversations with those people. And when you can do things, and this is something I've learned, don't call your events client appreciation events anymore. Ditch the word client appreciation, because if you call me and tell me, hey, I want you to come to my client appreciation event, what am I to you? I'm a client. I don't want to be your freaking client. I want to be your friend. So just change it. Hey, we're going to have a fun movie night coming up. I wanted to invite you out. It'll be fun. Bring the family. You want them to feel like they're part of your family, not your client. So that's a big shift that we've made recently from our last event moving forward, is they're no longer going to be called client appreciation events. Nobody wants to be thought of as a client anymore. They want to be a part of your friend. They want to be a part of your circle of friends. So that's a big change. But we do 4 of those a year, and it gives us an excuse to call, text, and email and mail to all of our entire database and stay connected with them. Because most of you guys, once the transaction's done, you never talk to that client again. If you do, maybe you do for 30 days. But we're talking to people that we worked with 10 years ago and bringing them back out. And they don't come to any of our events. They haven't come to the last 40 events. And then they show up to the 41st and are like, hey, we're ready to sell our home. It's a beautiful thing when that happens.
It's awesome. Thank you. Kyle Whissel, Mary Maloney, Kurt Wannebo, all brokered through EXP, and Melissa Tucci, Coldwell Banker. You guys have given everybody tremendous value. Thank you very, very much.